Um, Good afternoon and welcome to my presentation for my film, well, I'm going to call it Project Left Alone. So, Project Left Alone is an idea I've had for a little while. I'm just going to go through the narrative. So Project Left Alone is about the possible scenario of, as you might know, World War III, or also known as a nuclear war. Portrayed before in media, you hear it, with Russia and America going at each other, North Korea, Iran, but by plot follows a single character and is based on a geopolitical scenario that leads to a nuclear war. So how you would hear about the scenario is through radio broadcasts. This character will be hearing it from his headphones. World relation breaks down as always. There's talks between the two nations. They break down. Diplomats walk out of the room, tell them, we're going to nuke a capital city. One person experience. So this is just about one person. So, whereas with a load of nuclear war films where it's focused on the whole world and what's going on around them, this is more to do with someone's personal experience of a traumatic nuclear war, because as I will go on you'll see why I've structured it like this. But leading to the attack itself, the actual attack, as you probably would want to know, it would actually take place in Plymouth, which is a great, will make your day. And this will be based in Paynton, so blast wave will be a little bit short, but fallout will be really, really big. So this is what I'm focusing on. The possibility of human groups and cults. So throughout the story, you'll see him go through the before of the scenarios, so hearing all these different news in his head. And going about as well, hearing people talk about it, joking about France, joking about the Americans getting involved, and then eventually the actual thing happens. You see a lot of action with that. You see a lot of moving about. The character tries to get everything into this little cupboard, and I actually put two photos down here to actually show that part of the film is actually going to take place under some stairs, in an understairs cupboard. So it's going to be very, very cramped. There's going to be food in there, there's going to be water, there's going to be medical supplies, there's going to be a mattress. And I'll explain a little bit more why I went that way, because there's a reason, there's a connection to how things used to be 80s, 70s, 90s. So I'll go through that. And then obviously final call out right at the very end, the ending will just basically be someone being, everyone being called out to rebuild humanity. Everyone knows it won't happen, no. It will be doom and gloom. But let's talk about the character. I called my character Curtis Riley. No reason, I'm just going to come it up with random names. I think Curtis actually came from a film, can't remember now. Anyway, he's 23 years old, white British male. For production matters, it doesn't actually matter about male, female, height or personal preferences, because I know we're very limited here. So as long as they're soft, I'll go through their personality, but as long as they're not Jack the Lad, if it's a male or if it's a female, they have to be very soft, but also have that survival instinct. But I put down here low income, cashier worker, just to show that he doesn't earn very much. He won't have much in the house. That helps me towards some mise-en-scène. So thinking about props in my room right now, there's like a 3-monitor setup. He wouldn't have that. On low income, so I'd have to think about like a little dinky laptop and roughed up bed, and I've got somewhere to use. Lives at home with mum. It says it's high. Loves reading books and hiking. So these are her interests. The history part is important. Studies history, level 2. Loves learning about the British Empire, eras and global wars. Aware of effects of the nuclear war, but ill-prepared. So he is aware of the teachings of nuclear war and the previous 2 world wars, and understands the implications of a nuclear war, but he's ill-prepared. So have you ever heard of Doomsday Busters before? Shows like that where you get these people who are really, really crazy and mental, and they prepare for any sort of apocalypse, like zombie apocalypse, you know, government breakdowns, or anything out of this world. But this is kind of portrayed on that as it's showing this person's kind of prepared, but you'll see this panic, you'll see this breakdown in this person because he's not ready for this. Plot involvement. So Curtis is the main character and only protagonist of the film. The film is based around I suppose to say mental and psychological experience in the war. It's not supposed to say mental. That's I think we skipped over that one.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Oh well. Personality, he's very anxious, quite humble, a little bit selfish. I have to put that in there to show that this character evolving around war, you know, how he was going to act after war, you know, he's going to keep things to himself, you know, if someone comes and asks him for food, he's going to be like, no, bugger off. That sort of character is the sort of thing I'm looking for. Unsociable, bookworm, loner / introvert, just extra things to chuck in there so you understand this character's feelings and emotions very well. Does not deal with loss, and usually quite quiet when it occurs, because obviously the thought about having a nuclear war, there's loads of things you have to consider, including losing family. It is something that this character may go through. And then character motivation, which is originally he has wanted to become an historian. However, this changes when the disaster happens, and then eventually, obviously, he has to survive. You know, 2 weeks in this small little dinky area, and then obviously his motivation changes to reteaching next generations about the history of the human race, because he would have this knowledge. But anyway, I'll get on to roles and responsibilities now. I am working on my own on this project, so I'll be taking the role of director, producer, editor, a bit of camera work, DOP, you know, lighting, set design. I'll be taking care of the props, I'll be taking care of the costume making, I'll be taking care of the makeup, you know, and all sorts of other roles that are involved with making a production. Such as here, I will be taking the pre-production and research roles. Now for research, I have done quite a lot of research on the basis of nuclear war, so I've done research on different scenarios, if Russia hits us or North Korea hits us, how big the bomb's going to be. There's even this thing you can use on the internet called a nuke map. If you open it up, you know, click, let's just say New York for example, hit it with a 15 megaton nuclear bomb, bang, you'll see all casualties, blast wave, you know, radio waves, everything like that. And I kind of use that to help me shape this plot so that I know, you know, if he's living under this bunker, is the house going to be destroyed? No, because it's too far, but there may be a bit of wind, there'll be the flash, things like that. Yeah, there you go. Research, nuclear war effect, plot development, just learning more about character and human psychology. I actually did like a 3,000 word thing about human psychology and the changes that it will go through in this war. Other related and similar films, directors who worked on these films, I'll get to that in a minute. I will be the director and the editor. I wrote the story, so this is my own written story. I'll be taking it to the screen. And this film will be produced and published by Nandi Entertainment, which is my personal brand for my little YouTube company sort of thing. Inspiration. So this is where the story comes about, where my inspiration goes, where do I pick all these ideas up. I'm a massive disaster film guy. I love, well, I don't like death, I love it, destruction. So let's just say Big Ben falling down, smashing everywhere, I like that sort of thing. Or tsunamis hitting Los Angeles, for example. Film's already been made. God, I've got to think of a new idea now. London hasn't been hit yet. Tokyo hasn't been hit yet. Coming up with new ideas here. I sound like a psychopath saying that. Anyway, I also like fantasies as well, so stuff like Harry Potter and, you know, Lord of the Rings, you know, things that are out of this world. I actually have my own ideas. You know, one, some people might know, Nash King. I probably mentioned it before, I don't know. by one of my YouTube inspirations, who is a actor slash YouTube actor slash director. He's worked on his own YouTube series as well as worked actually in the industry himself, and even went to Hollywood and acted in a few films slash TV shows. Juggernaut, you might actually know him from a video called, or what was it, Psycho Kid Shreds Video Games. Now, that was all fake. That was all scripted, all acted. The entire Psycho series was fake. For 3 years, he faked an entire life, which I thought was quite awesome. This is why the personality thing came to mind. It focuses on this one person and this one person's experience in reality. He also did this other other series about personality. Just to throw it out there, Titanic's my favourite film, directed and written by James Cameron. I do like James Cameron. I'll just put it out there. And I don't like the romantic either, it's just the singing part I like when it goes down. Just put it out there. As again, I'm a disaster film guy, so you wouldn't be surprised by that. Also, I have done a little bit of my own work in the past. I do have a YouTube channel, and I have made a short film before. So I just put some shots there of stuff that I have done before, things that I have been making in the past. I think some people might be able to recognise that. Anyway, let's move on. So the one scene I'm going to go for is it's kind of a mid-scene, so it's kind of a build-up scene leading towards a climax. Obviously, with a story, you've got a beginning, build-up, climax, resolution, and ending. This is more of heading towards the conflict slash climax of the story. This is a drum beating you up to this moment. So middle scene, plot build-up, tension growing. The show of ignorance of Curtis. So within this scene, he's going to be trying to get away from all the news that he's hearing. He's going to cut off all the radio broadcast, everything. But then he gets a situation where someone walks by. He's joking about, Americans are getting involved with other people's business, and it all comes back to him, and he's trying to avoid it. And this also shows, the society are forced to hear fake slash exaggerated news. I thought I'd just throw it in there, as a bit of a message. I don't know whether I'll be able to get it through, but yeah, there you go. Curtis Riley, two lads, one evaluating conversation. So when I mean evaluating conversation, it's making him think now. It's making him, should I act on this? Should I go home right now? Should I stay here? He gets very anxious. As it says, on his personality, he is an anxious guy. Still photography. There is one shot with a slider. Let's just say it was in this room. I'd have the slider move, transition from this room through that door to outside while the two extras are walking by. It's just a slow walk away from the one action to the other. I had other ideas like close-ups of him doing some actions whilst this is all going on. There'd be a lot of.
Carry on, you can do. Are you going to bring it home?
Yeah.
Bring it on home. Come on then.
Right. So talking a bit about sound. So I'll take a note for a sec. Talking about sound, there will be an original film score. This will be created by using something called GarageBand. If you're familiar with that app, it would just be a piano, cinematic pianos score going along with the film. It would only come at bits when it's actually needed. Emotional bits and bits with a bit of action and fast-paced filming and editing. So this scene's taking place in a classroom, so you'd have classroom ambience such as aircon, you'd have outdoor ambience. If someone walks past, you might have the little tapping footsteps, you might have talking and mumbling and that. Classroom Foley, so sound effects such as when Curtis is on the computer, because it will take place with him on the computer, you would have tapping from the keyboard, you would have, there's one shot where he drinks a water, it's just a filler shot, while some bits of, some of the radio broadcasts are happening. You hear water goggles and all that sort of stuff. Radio broadcast, again, you'll hear that. You know, coming through his headphones. Muffled dialogue when the shots are in here. When the shots cut to in the classroom, the two lads will be a bit more muffled, just to show that, you know, we're coming away from this conversation. That'll be towards the end. And loud bellowing extras, so I just put two loud lads who are very, very enthusiastic and a bit jokey and a bit jack lad sort of thing. Lighting, I wasn't too sure, because there are some scenes in this film where the lighting really does have to be spot on, but this scene isn't so important. However, I put a dark room with IMAX and the lights will be off. His face will be illuminated by the Mac monitor, so I'd have a little panel light facing at him from a distance, just to make sure you can see the iMac on his face. And soft abrupt lighting for Curtis, bright, but this is when he turns around to see the boys talking, so he's going to do a little bit of an over shoulder. We'll have more abrupt lighting from the back to show that there's more lighting coming in from the outside. It also gives that atmosphere as well when facing the computer, yeah, and all that. Editing, again, there's not too spectacular stuff, you know, cutting back and forth from the main character to the extras, over the shoulder shot cutting. There'll be the transition from the room to the outdoor, and then cut to the characters and cut back to Curtis. You know, film shading, I don't know that this scene's where it comes in yet. I think it slowly drags itself in towards when the scenes get much darker, which it will when the attack happens, and afterwards it gets more grayer, and it shows that you know, that deterioration of colour, and that you'll see that. And then storyboards. I'll show you right here. As I said, he's at the computer, drinking water. There'll be a close-up of the keyboard. I put some arrows here to show that, you know, the camera's tracking around him. There's the camera tracking there. There's a close-up there of Curtis drinking water. And I put an arrow there to show that he's doing that. And there was the scene I'm talking about. It's not completely clear. I'm sorry about that. That was a photocopy. It's much clearer than this. If you saw it on paper. But anyway, obviously, as I said about that shot where the slider will go from inside the classroom to the outside, that's how it'll be portrayed. You'll see this, you'll see the middle bar, and then it'll just slowly come out as these guys walk down, and then they're stopped, and then you'd cut to the over-the-shoulder shots and two shots. I put the over-the-shoulder shots here, it'd be back and forth. Here's a shot of Curtis looking over his shoulders as they continue to talk. To show as well, as on set, you know, round table, it would be in a dark room, you know, you've got the corridor and that, this one, you've got the window here, you'd have the two characters in the distance there in the background. And there's the final one. I didn't do too many because there wasn't too many shots in this scene. Obviously there's the two shot and then a final close-up of Curtis turning background, getting on with it, but also there'll be some sweat coming off him, you know, a bit of shaking, you know, a bit of anxiety being displayed. In terms of production schedule, now I haven't got right to the end because I was in the process of trying to figure out what's going on when, including the shoot, because I am filming over the Easter break, and the guy that will be working for me, we're still trying to figure out what days he's going to do, because there's going to be a 5-hour day period where we're going to shoot quite a lot of everything, so I'll still got to figure that out. But there you go, beginning of the project, all the way down, you know, script being written. I did some camera equipment workshop. Let's find one. First equipment trial, so I actually went home, decided to test out my cameras and equipment, make sure that they're quality fit. And then I had some rest days as well. Thursday, literally last Thursday, I did green screen test. So I just got the camera out. Me and my support worker just mucked about with it. You know, we tried to make it look like it was in space, which was quite funny. You know, the beginning of soundtrack, editing trials. There will be some trials where I'll figure out what's the best editing sequences for this film. Storyboard meeting, that's kind of what will happen soon. And as it said here, I will discuss and prepare the location. So this will be when I actually go and ask my mum, you know, can I use this, can I use that? I'm going to have to clear this cupboard out, we'll clear that cupboard out, we'll use that room. I already spoke to her, but this will be a formal conversation and sort out. And then paperwork and that. And then I've got 3 film days when you lot are off at Dartmoor. Obviously I will be here, so I'm going to be using those 3 days to just shoot anything I need for, you know, for classroom scenes, you know, corridor scenes and things like that. I will use my support, Maggie and Kath, to work with me. I'll teach you and teach Kath how to film, how to do it properly. But however, I didn't go too far. Again, over those 2 weeks I'll just be filming. Tuesday, Thursday and Friday are the most likely days on those 2 weeks that I will be filming, but we don't know what time, we don't know what slot, we don't know exactly what equipment yet, so I still need to figure out, you know, is there going to be new equipment, do I need this, do I need that? So yeah. And then that's the end of the presentation. Sorry it took so long. Would I have